Previously, the most daring reforestation projects. From kids who took on their predecessors' mistakes and people who imagined the impossible, to women who inspired an entire country and generations of people. But today, we're gonna up the game and take a look at how Molai in India planted an entire forest by himself, how Santos from Mexico got help from the indigenous people to support farmers to regrow their land, and finally, we're gonna learn about Nehme in Lebanon, a woman who beat the odds, broke tradition, and went against gender roles when she decided to restore her country's beauty through reforestation. Are you ready to be inspired? What was your favourite childhood activity? Was it birthday parties with cake and games, or playing that one impossible level of your favourite video game before rage quitting and playing with something else? We're sure everyone has had their own favourite activities. Take Maya Nehme, for example, who grew up gardening alongside her father and taking this childhood activity to another level in adulthood. In her home country of Lebanon, women don't normally specialise in the forestry industry. Ironically enough, many Lebanese non-government organisations in forestation and climate actions are led by, well, women. Well, isn't that interesting? While it may be peculiar, this fact didn't stop Nehme from pursuing multiple degrees in agricultural engineering, plant protection, and entomology, the study of insects. After taking enough time to bulk up on education, Nehme went to work starting up organisations to make a difference. She used the power of her organisations and knowledge to battle one of the main environmental challenges in Lebanon: man-made fires. Fires had been increasing in the area for a number of reasons, from burning waste and dead plants to reckless activities such as unattended fires and playing irresponsibly with fireworks. Nehme couldn't sit by and let this continue. In 2015, she became the director of the Lebanese Reforestation Initiative, or LRI for short, which supports not only in planting trees, but also spreading information and awareness of the danger of fires. Thanks to her help, fires began to cease in areas where her teachings took place, and the trees that were planted now nourish entire ecosystems. Nehme has received numerous awards for her work, including the Golden Tree Award, which is given annually to individuals or organisations that have made significant contributions to the protection of the environment. But one of Nehme's most significant achievements has been her work to establish and protect a network of nature reserves and protected areas in Lebanon. These reserves, which cover more than 500,000 acres of land, provide important habitats for a wide range of species, including many that are endangered or threatened. Through her efforts, Nehme has helped to preserve and restore the natural beauty of Lebanon, and has played a key role in the conservation of many of the country's unique and fragile ecosystems. Through her activism, Nehme has undergone a significant personal transformation. She's become a leader and a champion for the environment, and has helped her people develop a deep appreciation for the interdependence of all living things and the importance of preserving the natural world for future generations. It's crazy to think that just a decade ago, men and women in Lebanon were forbidden from working with one another. And today, Nehme works alongside and directs teams in order to continue their projects across Lebanon. All of this while still planting trees herself. That's what we call a true hero. If you could win any prize in the world, what would you choose to win? Maybe the Nobel Peace Prize or the Pulitzer Prize? Well, for Jesus Leon Santos, little did he know that the Goldman Environmental Prize was in his future. Per its website, this prize is given to ordinary people who take extraordinary actions to protect our planet. So what exactly did Santos do to deserve the Goldman Environmental Prize? Well, in the Mexican state of Oaxaca, Leon noticed a growing problem. Due to the concerning combination of climate change and chemically altered corn seeds, farmers began to have a difficult time working the land. Climate change can take on many forms, and, as if trying to fight off the effects of flash floods and erosion wasn't enough of a challenge, the seeds that were given to grow depleted the soil of its nutrients even further. Due to both of these incidents, the grounds the farmers had put their hopes in began to diminish in health and nutrition, causing thousands of farmers to leave their homes and lands in search of better opportunities to make money and survive. It seemed as though nothing could be done, but Leon believed differently. In order to bring life back to the soil, Leon decided that the best route of action was, you guessed it,
the greatest superhero origin movie of all time. Forget Iron Man, okay? Forget Batman. We got Nacho Libre.
No. Well, actually, it's reforestation. he quickly helped to create the Center for Integral Small Farmer Development in the Mixteca. Yikes, that's a mouthful. Or CEDICAM for short. Side note, CEDICAM took help from the indigenous people as they have a deep connection to the land and a unique understanding of how to live in harmony with the environment. By working with these communities, Santos has been able to learn from their wisdom and to incorporate their traditional knowledge and practices into his environmental work.
Reconocemos que tenemos que retomar este papel importante para cuidar todo esto por el bien de la humanidad.
By working with the indigenous communities, he could also help them protect their traditional lands and cultures. This has not only benefited the environment, but has also helped to support and preserve the rich cultural heritage of these communities. End of side note. The organisation began to collect and distribute trees to the farmers who hadn't fled the area. As the farmers started planting trees, the groundwater became better filtrated, natural ingredients began returning to the soil, and the farmers now had better wood to be used in various ways. As the years flew by, CEDICAM's efforts grew, and eventually they were helping local farmers plant upwards of 200,000 trees every year. Imagine trying to plant over 500 trees every single day. We're exhausted just thinking about it. Santos was able to achieve remarkable results through his activism. He helped to establish numerous protected areas in Mexico, including national parks and reserves. These protected areas cover more than 10 million acres of land and provide vital habitat for a wide range of species, including endangered animals like the jaguar and the Mexican grey wolf. But back to the beginning of CEDICAM, believe it or not, tree planting was just the beginning for Leon and his team. They also created a series of infiltration trenches, which help absorb excessive water until it's able to be filtered out to the soil, thus aiding in balancing out the region's rainfall. And Leon worked closely with the indigenous people and the farmers to create a rich and all-natural fertilizer to help nourish the soil for crops to be able to grow. Wow, with all that work, you'd think this was the ultimate reforestation project. But believe it or not, Leon still wasn't done. Having great pride in his culture, Leon made it a point to promote local, organic foods back into the everyday lives of the farmers. After all that had happened, the farmers in the area had grown accustomed to additives and fillers being in the foods that they planted and prepared, as this became the easier, cheaper, and more modern way. Leon thought differently, and it took quite a bit of convincing, but soon enough, Leon was able to share the traditional ways of small farming methods that were not only healthier for the land, but also produced healthier foods for their families. He understood the meaning of grassroots and keeping tradition alive, and over time, more and more farmers turned away from modern methods, creating an almost entirely GMO-free region. How's that for keeping traditions? Before we get to our last story, don't forget to subscribe. That is, of course, if you've gotten any value or inspiration from this video. What would you do if you came across hundreds of snakes while out for a walk? Maybe you'd scream and run in the opposite direction. But what if you saw that the snakes were all dead? As for us, we think we'd still go running from the snakepocalypse. But for one man, the hundreds of dead snakes he stumbled upon led him to make a drastic decision. Meet Jadav Payeng, who single-handedly planted a forest spanning over 1,300 acres. That's the equivalent of almost 700 soccer fields or nearly 3 Disneylands. As a teenager, Molai came across piles and piles of dead snakes that littered the bank of the Majuli Reserve. Molai wept as he saw the death surrounding the river. Unlike the general public, Molai immediately realized that something bigger was taking place, something much more concerning and related to the environment. You see, the snakes had died due to horrible conditions caused by the drought in the area. This, Molai thought, simply would not do. He tried getting help from the forest department, who said that nothing would grow there, but he could plant some bamboo if he'd like. He got to work immediately, acquiring and planting bamboo along the river's edge. Planting at least one seedling per day, Molai made it his personal mission to bring a stop to the flooding of the river. Molai has been planting and watering seedling after seedling for upwards of 40 years, having been quoted to say, "I'll plant till my last breath." 40 years! What dedication to Mother Earth! And his patience was rewarded. Today, the affectionately named Molai Forest spans a whopping 1,400 acres total, or more than 3 central parks in New York. The forest houses monkeys, tigers, rhinos, birds, and even a herd of about 100 elephants stay there every year. What an amazing result of diligent and patient work. But unfortunately, growing an entire forest comes with a caveat. Forests rich in resources are often sought after for a financial profit, and Molai knew this. Today, Molai lives in his forest, acting as a protector of it and its inhabitants, protecting it from tree farmers to poachers. While the general public's greed to strip the forest of its resources is technically out of his hands, others who believe in the cause have made it a point to bring light to Molai and his work.
जितने भी जंगल जितने भी पेड़ देखता है यहाँ का जितने में ये मेरा बेटा बेटी सब लोग याद है सब लोग यहीं बैठे.
His story is shared time and time again through TED Talks, college classes, and even children's books. And, as you thought the story ended here, in addition to his work on Molai Forest, Payeng has also been involved in other environmental initiatives in India, including efforts to protect wildlife and to raise awareness about the importance of conservation. He's received numerous accolades for his work, including the Padma Shri, one of India's highest civilian honours. All of this built on love for animals, nature, and the rich biodiversity that exists on this beautiful planet. But don't leave just yet, here's another video that we think you should watch.